Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone in person. It's really good to see you all. Hi, everyone online. Happy Friday. I think a couple weeks ago, we kind of did a big high five for Friday. Maybe we can do that again. Some Fridays feel like, whew, we need Friday more than other Fridays. I feel I really need this Friday. So happy Friday, everyone. As always, we will start either sitting or lying back, finding a comfortable shape. And as you find your comfortable shape, we want to make sure that it's not, unless you really need a nap. If you really need a nap, then find it, comfortable shape that allows for a nap. If you don't need a nap, we want a comfortable shape, but one that also helps us stay connected and alert. And as a gentle reminder, reminding ourselves that we each have agency and choice over our practices. So as we all practice together online and in the room as a community, each one of us has choice over what we do. So if something's not feeling safe or supportive or stable, feel free at any moment to back out. No explanation needed, no judgment. Okay. So as you find and, settle into your shape, we'll give ourselves some time to feel the ground, to feel the earth beneath you. Allowing our physical and energetic bodies to connect to the stability and support of the earth. So you might find it helpful as we intentionally slow down to really connect that physical part of your body. So if you're sitting, feeling those two sit bones anchor down. If you're lying back, feeling the back body, the feet, the hips, the spine, maybe the back of the arms into your skull. And we can really allow gravity to help pull us downward. And from that gravitational pull, exploring that rebound of energy going upward. And then connecting our breathing, noticing how the breath feels here in relationship to your body on the earth. You can practice breathing gently and lightly in and out of the nose. And drawing the attention and awareness of the breath down into the lower rib cage and maybe down into your belly. And then returning back to your connection to stability and strength through the earth into the ground. Back to your breathing. As as we exhale, lower ribs drawing down and in. As we inhale, lower ribs expanding nice and wide. With your exhale, ribs drawing down and in. Inhale, ribs expand. And then blending this feeling of ribs down and in with the grounding into the earth. We'll pause here for about 5 breaths. Coming back to your present time experience. And gently let your eyes open. And if you haven't already come onto your back, then we're all going to come onto our backs. And when we get onto our backs, we're going to bend our knees and then bring our hands down onto our pelvic crest, onto the hip bones or the front hip bones. So each one of us has a different level of experience to this practice. So some of us, this might be our very first experience with yoga core. Others of us might have been practicing for quite a long time. So as we move together, keep checking in and try and allow this practice to be more about curiosity and feeling. So from that, with your hands on your pelvic crests, we're going to take your navel belly button and we're going to push the belly button down to the floor and feel the pelvis move. Might feel the pelvis, what we call tuck under. Then we're going to go the other direction. We're going to let the belly button go up towards the ceiling and feel the pelvis anteriorly tilt. So where your hands are on your hips here, you might almost feel like those hips are wheels. And we're going to do it again, taking the navel down into the floor. You'll feel your low back and then anteriorly tilting. We'll do 3 more on your own, feeling this out. Connecting this pelvic movement through your spine. So you might start to feel almost like a wave of movement all the way up your back between your shoulder blades into the back of your skull. And just keep breathing. That's an important piece, that we're breathing through this. So check you're not holding your breath. And then see after this last one, if you can coast back, and we'll redefine neutral. So hands on your pelvic crest. And when you come back to neutral, your belly button hopefully will feel more level right over your pubic bone, and you'll feel a soft curve in your lumbar lower back. All right. So we're going to add on to this. We're going to take your hands behind your head and let your elbows be wide. So with your exhale, when we were breathing earlier, we felt the ribs draw down and in. So let's try and feel that again. So as we exhale, the ribs draw down and in. And as we inhale, they get nice and wide, and you might feel them float up a little bit. So we're going to use that to do our little sit up. So when you exhale, the ribs draw down and in, that's your cue to lift the shoulders, neck, and head, and pause. Try and keep your navel in line with your pubic bone so you're in that neutral spine. And then nice and long and strong, lower your shoulders, neck, and head. We'll just do 2 more. So wait for your exhale, feel the ribs draw down and in. That's your cue to lift the shoulders. Inhale, keeping the low back in neutral, we lower down. 1 more on your own. And then we'll let the head come down to the floor. And we're going to take your arms down by your sides. Palms can face down. If it was helpful the first time with your hands on your hip bones, bring your hands back to your hip bones, or for a little different challenge, arms to your side. Press your navel down and roll that pelvis again into that posterior shape, and maybe start to roll up to a little bit of like a low, low bridge. And then feeling your spine lowering down vertebra by vertebra. See if you could notice where it's in neutral and then tilt anterior. So you get a little space in your lower back. And then do that 2 more times. Pasting that navel down, pace the spine. We roll up to a little bit of a bridge. And we roll back down. Either rest or try 1 more going on your own at your own pace with your breathing. Now we're going to add the arms. So you'll coast back to neutral. And if you want more challenge, we're going to take your arms up towards the ceiling, roll on up to that little bridge, and reach and extend the arms overhead towards the wall behind you. And then we'll roll back down, arms either to the ceiling or all the way down to the floor. Rolling into your bridge, stretch your arms overhead. Rolling down, arms to the side. Last one, we're going to hold this one. So as you roll up to your bridge, it can be a really little bridge. Maybe your arms are to the ceiling, maybe they're overhead, maybe they're to your side. If they're overhead, reach your fingers back and feel your shins go forward and see if you can energetically feel really super long. If your arms are on the floor, press your arms down into the floor. We'll take 2 breaths. And on the second breath, we'll roll down, arms coming all the way down to your sides. And we'll take a 3-breath break to come back into our own experiences. So just give yourself a moment to breathe, notice. If you're in the room wearing a mask, are you mouth breathing? Can you come back to trying to breathe in and out through your nose? Then we're going to bring your hands back behind your head. All right, so we're going to do a little combo of the rolling up into bridge with a little bit of a sit up. Okay, so elbows can float a little bit up off the floor. We start with the exhale. So when you feel the exhale, press your navel down into the floor and start to roll up into a little bit of a bridge. And just hold that little bit of a bridge. And then when you feel your next exhale and the ribs drop down and in, hold bridge and see if you can do a little bit of a sit up. Then roll down out of your bridge. And then lower your shoulders, neck, head. Rolling up into your bridge. Then the sit up. Rolling down out of bridge. Lowering the shoulders, neck, head. So either resting or trying 3 more like that, really articulating, going at your own rhythm. See if you can feel some mobility through the spine. So you might imagine that your vertebrae were beads on a string and you're trying to get that string to move. You're trying to feel those beads. Find just the right challenge with your breathing. Fabulous. And then after this one, we'll roll all the way back down to constructive rest pose on your back with your knees bent. And we'll pause for 3 cycles of breathing. And then we're going to bring your right knee right up over your right hip. You can hold on to the back of the hamstring and just straighten and bend your right leg 3 times, giving your right leg a little hamstring stretch. And then you choose. You might feel more comfortable with a bent knee. You might feel more comfortable with your leg a little straighter. Point your toes, so pull your heel back. Now really press your leg forward and exhale, start to roll up. See if you can peel your spine up. Might feel a little bit like that little sit up we did. And see how far you can roll up. And then when you get up, you might come up 1 inch. You might come more all the way up to sitting. Meet yourself right where you are. And then exhale, roll all the way back down. And then try it with the other leg. So right leg comes down, left leg comes up. We're going to bend and straighten it 3 times to get some hamstring stretch. Decide where you want your leg bent or straight. And then point the left toes. Press that left leg out. And just start from the exhale, the ribs drawing down in to roll up. And then roll back down. Bring all the limbs back down to the floor. And we're going to spend about 5 to 10 seconds relaxing the roof of the mouth and the jaw and the neck. So bringing awareness to the roof of your mouth, into the back of the neck, skull, maybe even down through the throat into the chest. Can you soften and let go of some tension there? And then with that awareness, outstretching your left leg on the floor and bringing your right knee back up over your right hip. Hold on to the back of the leg. Decide if you want that leg straight or bent. So a little different this time. You're going to take your left heel and really push it down. So your straight left leg is pushing down through the heel. And then as you exhale, navel to spine, ribs draw down in. We're going to roll up again and try not to use your shoulders or your neck. Try to keep the neck and the jaw really relaxed. Press out through the right leg and keep that left bottom leg really heavy as you roll up. And then left leg heavy, right leg extends and presses out as you lower all the way back down and switch sides. Right leg extends. Press into that right heel, nice and heavy. Press the left thigh bone out. Maybe it's bent, maybe it's straightish. Point the toes. Wait for the exhale. And feeling that mobility, the rounding and lengthening of the spine as you roll up. Notice the jaw and the shoulders and roll all the way back down. 3 breaths again in constructive rest pose. Left knee comes up over the left hip, right knee comes up over the right hip. Hold on to both legs, maybe squeeze the legs together. Either straightish legs are bent, you choose, point out through the toes and press the legs away. Wait for your exhale and then slowly start to roll on up, trying to get all the way on up without using your shoulders. Keep the shoulders soft. And you can roll all the way on up, or if that's not happening, roll up to where you start to quiver and shake. And then either roll all the way back down or come all the way on up to sitting. So some of us will come up to sitting, others of us will be on our backs. If you come on up to sitting, you can just put your hands on your knees. If you're on your back, bring your arms down by your side, and we'll all take 3 breaths. And then when you feel your 3rd exhale, we'll all roll on up to sitting. And then we'll do a little bit of wrist work before we go into tabletops, okay? So prepping your wrists and your hands, we can come forward to table and look down at our hands. Now, remember, if you're at home, right, and your wrists bug you, you can always lift up to a table. You can come up to a chair. So the angle really matters, okay? So we're gonna look down at our hands. We want your middle finger to be pretty parallel with the other middle finger. So left middle finger, right middle finger, pretty parallel. And then as you build your strong table, just slowly add some load by pressing forward and pressing back. Thumbs can isometrically pull in towards midline. And your fingers are strong. Feel free to walk your hands back or forward or out, exploring different load amounts in different angles of the shoulders and the hands. And if this is coming along, you'd like to do a little bit of rotation and stretch, go ahead, rotate the arms and the wrists, right? Spin them around. And same similar movement, you're shifting the load, sliding forward and sliding back. And as you slide forward and back, gentle reminder, try and keep integrity and strength through your core. So that means we're not just letting gravity pull us down. We're really pushing the earth away. So this whole time you might feel a little bit like you were doing a straight arm plank. You're pushing the earth away. You're nice and strong in the back shoulders. And you can always come on your knuckles and stretch this way. Woo! And you know, I would remind you to be gentle and kind. And we'll take maybe 3 more breaths and come back and build your tabletop. And if flexion in your wrists is problematic, just make fists, okay? You can always make fists. And that straightens out the wrist so we don't have a lot of flexion, if any, okay? So we're gonna find a table. And then like we did on the floor, we're gonna look at pelvic tucking and tilting. So you can feel the pelvis almost like wheels rolling, turning, and just feeling that pelvis tuck under and then tilt forward. And you can do a couple really slowly if you'd like to explore that full range of motion. How far can you tuck with strength. And what does that feel like all the way up your back into the back of the skull? And what does it feel like to do a full tilt? All the way up your back into maybe the back of your skull. And then we're going to come back to stability, to your table. And now your challenge is to define your low back. So we're going to try and define the lumbar spine, and then find and feel more of the rib cage area up to the shoulder blades. We're going to try and have more movement there. So it might feel a little bit like the sit-up where we were trying to stabilize the low back. So stabilizing the low back, can you find more rounding or like cat through the ribs into the shoulder blades, neck, and head? See how little you can move your low back and still feel a cat in the back ribs and shoulders. And the same with a cow. How much cow can you feel without moving the low back? And we'll just do one more. So moving through that cat-cow feel, really trying to stabilize the low back. And then after this cow, you can come back to your tabletop. We'll take a fork in the road. You can either lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog, or you could press back to child's pose. So picking one of those places, if you're coming to down dog, bending your knees and lifting your heels quite a bit, you can pedal out your feet, create some mobility and just settling into the dog. You're building your dog. And then we'll exhale, come back to tabletop. And we'll each do one full cat and one full cow. And then we'll sit back on our heels. So if sitting back on your heels isn't your thing, it kind of hurts your feet, feel free to sit back and crisscross applesauce. We're just going to stretch out your wrists. So we're going to take the knuckles down and press and just give ourselves 2 breaths to stretch out the wrists. Great. And then we're going to come on up, and you can either sit back on your heels or you could come up to kneeling. Okay. And sitting back or being on your knees, you could stand up if this is, if standing is better for your knees. Okay. So we're going to come back and find symmetry, ears to shoulders, to ribs, to hips. So just in space, can you feel that symmetry? And we're going to sweep your arms forward and up, and then take the arms down and behind you. So 2 more. Try to keep everything really symmetrical and core strong as you just work on moving the limbs. Great. So if you're kneeling, we're going to add on. You can take your arms forward and then hinge and sit back and pull yourself up. And then a little bit of extension by pushing the pubic bone forward, swing the arms back. Coming back. And coming up. If you're standing, you could do this standing through like chair pose. All right, so if you're standing, right, if this is hurting your knees, it's like this. We'll do 2 more. And then we're going to sit back on our knees. Sit back on our heels, I suppose I should say. Stretch out your wrists again. Walk your hands back out. So if you're standing, come down to table, 1 round of cat-cow to feel the spine nice and rounded. And one cow, going forward with strength, getting some articulation, extension in the mid back. Back to table, and then back to child's pose or downward facing dog. Exhale, feel the exhale, and then with your next exhale, we're going to figure out how to walk your hands and feet together and slowly come all the way on up and take a full body stretch. And bringing the arms down, feel the earth again. So we'll take a 3-breath grounding break to re-anchor into the strength of the earth. And when you feel your next exhale, let's step your feet wide. All right, let's just go up and down in sumo. So you can go really fast or really slow. Just get your ankles and your knees and your hips a little warmer. So pick your speed. Sometimes going really slow with lots of deep resistance is challenging. Sometimes going up and down quicker, getting your heart rate going really, really fast quickly is more challenging. We'll do about 3 more. I mean, unless you're going really fast, maybe you do like 6. And then we're going to come on up and pause and keep your feet wide. And then just a little bit of bend. Bring the awareness down towards the center of gravity for you. So down around your navel into your low back area. Pelvis is upright. So remember, the pelvis is a bowl. So we did all that work on our back. Make sure you're not tipping your pelvis either back or forward. Feeling your pelvis like a bowl, more upright. So the front of the hips lifting up. Okay. So we're going to stabilize the pelvis and we're going to stabilize the low back. So define those 2 areas. Most challenging will be bringing your hands behind your head. A little less challenging will be bringing your hands to your ribs. So we're going to try and get the ribs to rotate around to the right without moving the low back and the pelvis, and then coming back to center and rotating the ribs around towards the left. You can pick the speed. Can you move your rib cage independently from your low back pelvis? Can you stabilize the low back? Stabilize the pelvis. One more to the right, one more to the left. And then we come back to center. Give your legs a little bit of a break just by straightening them up a little bit. And then you can maybe take your knees and your feet forward, or you can keep your heels in, your toes out, kind of feel it out through your groins and your hips. We're going to take a nice long forward fold stretch. So it's going to come nice and long and tip over. Pay attention to your hamstrings, your butt, and your low back. So we don't want to feel anything too tight or tense. So checking in, maybe bend your knees, and then reconnect to the earth. So maybe feeling your hands, if they're on the earth, your feet for sure. Connect down into the earth. We'll take 2 breaths. And then with your next inhale, we'll slowly come all the way back on up to standing with wide legs. Bend your knees a little bit, get back into that center of gravity, and then bringing your arms out in front. So we're just going to rotate the arms in the sockets a few times so you can look and watch the shoulders roll or the arm bones roll. Great. And then you can go opposite, one in, one out. So see if you can define your shoulder and your arm. So when your shoulder rolls, it's going to roll forward. You might feel a little rounded. If it rolls back, it might roll you open. So you could explore, can you hold your shoulder really steady and just move the arm bone and not the shoulder? If you're really tight out through the shoulder into the arm, that's going to feel pretty challenging. And then we'll let the arms rest. This is oddly fatiguing, right? Is anyone else tired or am I just that out of shape? Woo. All right, so we're going to take this arm bone rotation into the twist. Okay, so nice and strong, stabilize that pelvis, low back, low belly, arms wide. And then we're going to twist the ribs around with the arms and reach out through the arms. So find your right arm and roll that right arm in so your right back thumb comes down. And then reach your fingers away from each other. Sweet, and then come back around. Try not to move your pelvis, okay? So as you come around, if you need to put your right hand on that left hip bone, try to keep this left hip bone facing forward. So your hips stay stacked with your ribs. And then you're gonna take, oh, sorry, your hips can't really stay stacked with your ribs. Your ribs are rotating. And then you're gonna rotate this back left arm, thumb down. And then we're gonna come around. And we'll bring everything down and take 2 or 3 breaths. You can roll your shoulders up and back and around. Woo. Does that make sense? Here's your hips. We'll do it one more time and add a forward fold. So hips, don't move. Try and keep them set, okay? So it takes quite a bit of strength. Rotate, twist to the right. Take your back right arm and rotate thumb down. If you want more challenge, stretch your arms, tip at your hips, and bring your left arm down towards your right foot. Push down to reach up. Exhale, come all the way on up. Rotate to the left. Try to keep your right hip back. Stretch the arms back, left thumb rotates down from the arm in the socket. Forward fold, right arm to left foot. Fold and spread, press down to lift that left arm. One more time, come all the way on up a little bit quicker. Over to the right. Stretch, rotate your back thumb down, twist and fold. Come all the way on up. All the way to the left. Reach, rotate your back thumb down, tip and touch. Come all the way on up. Take the arms out wide and sweep them up, straighten the legs, step the feet together. And then if you're in the room, if you want to look out at the lake, feel free to turn to look out at the lake. We'll settle back into the strength, the grounding of the earth for 3 breaths. And then with your next exhale, noticing it's your exhale, we'll turn and come to the back of your mat. So walking to the back of the mat. So a little bit like what we were doing on the floor kneeling, stack your ears, your shoulders, your ribs, your hips, and start the swing of the arms. So swinging the arms, keeping your spine nice and long and strong and stable. If you want to add, you can add some chair pose and coming up. You can push the arms back and press your pubic bone forward a little bit Notice how the hips tip back. One more time. When you come to your chair, pause. Feel the feet. See if you can feel the balls of the feet, big toe to pinky toe. Reach up, knit the ribs and fold long, 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 reach, 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 reach all the way over. Super quietly. See how quiet you can walk your hands out to the front of your mat. Lift your heels. Bend your knees, downward facing dog. Exhale, slowly lower down, tabletop. One cat. And one cow. And then back to tabletop. And then we'll walk our knees up a little bit, sit on our bum. Bring your legs out in front of you. All right, you can make this as challenging or as easy as you want it to be. We're going to come back on our backs. If you want it to be easy, just roll over on your side and roll back. Okay, if you want it to be a little harder, hold on to the back of your legs. If you want it to be even harder, bring your arms out in front. Okay, so trying to keep that low belly really strong and toned, long through your low back. I don't know about anyone else. I always feel it's a lot harder if I don't add tension in my shoulders. I try to keep my hip flexors, front of the legs pretty open. Ooh, and the slower you go with control, I feel it's the hardest. When you get back down on the floor, you can do a full body stretch. Try not to flare your ribs. And then bring your arms down by your side and bend your knees. So all the way back, full circle to being on our backs. And then we're going to refine that movement in the spine. Press your navel down and roll up into a little tiny low bridge. And roll back down. Maybe find some anterior tilt lifting. If you want to add the arms as you roll up into bridge, stretching the arms up to the ceiling and overhead. And rolling back down. Great, 2 or 3 more. If you remember the little sit up that we added, feel free. Next time you come up in your little tiny bridge, pause. Bring your hands behind your head, do a little tiny sit up. Roll out a bridge and then lower your shoulders, neck, and head. Right? So you can just be rolling up and down out a bridge. You could add the little sit up. Everyone moving in relationship to their breathing. So we're feeling the spine make its movements with strength. Feeling the breath move through the body. When you're ready for a rest, take a rest, or maybe try 2 more. We come all the way back down to constructive rest. Let's take a full body stretch. So as you reach your arms overhead, try not to pop your ribs up. Walk your legs over to the left corner of the mat. Keep your back right shoulder down and then stretch your arms and do a side bend to the left. You'll make like a crescent moon shape. Trying to keep the back heel, hip, shoulder down. Take 2 breaths out the side ribs. And then back. You can walk your legs over to the right. Keeping the left heel, hip, and shoulder down. Stretch your upper body over to the right corner. And then 2 nice full breaths through those left side ribs. Exhale back. Full body stretch. And then you can bend your knees if you feel like it. Bring your knees into your chest. Checking in with yourself. How do you feel physically and energetically? We always take the last couple minutes to do self-care. Checking in. What do you want? What do you need? Maybe you need a little stretching or breathing. If you're in the room and you want to move your mat and just hang out in the sun, you can do that. So each one of us checking in. We'll take the last few moments here in silence. As you come back to your body breathing, noticing your present time experience. If you're on your back, feel free to take a full body stretch or to draw your knees into your chest. And then if you're ready, rolling over to the easiest side and coming on up to sitting. Of course, if you're at home or if you're at your office, if you want to stay and lie on your back longer, please. Can all take a little nap if we need it. And then we'll come back up and re-anchor into the earth. Just give yourself 3 breaths. And after 3, 4 breaths, letting your eyes gently open. Thanks, everyone. Big high fives. Thanks for being part of our community. Thanks for showing up. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you on Tuesday.